Hello and welcome, wonderful people, to Eye on Port. Eye on Port is made possible by Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. The program is powered by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, there's some bit of good news for young Ghanaians hoping to ply their trade at sea. Why am I saying this? The Ghana Maritime Authority has been strengthening relationships with global shipping companies to obtain sea time experience for young cadets that come out of the Regional Maritime University, which essentially will help them secure jobs and careers at sea in the future. Recently, GMA dispatched 3 Ghanaian young cadets to the Kuwait oil tanker company for this purpose. This week on Eye on Port, we had an insightful discussion with the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, to give us a proper perspective of what took place and the context of this particular program.
So when you assumed office at the Ghana Maritime Authority, sea time opportunities was described as being at an all-time low. What were the immediate steps you took to remedy this particular situation, sir?
50% of the entire seafaring industry is still Asian.
Yes.
So what it means is that close to about 900,000 seafarers or 950,000 seafarers and edging to about 1 million are from Asia. 33% are from Europe, 9% from Americas, and Africa, we are as low as about 4 to 5% or 5 to 4%,
Right.
4 to 5%. That is extremely low. Traditionally, we pride ourselves in this country as a seafaring nation. Yet when you come to the African context and you see our performance, I'll mention 2 words. Although I am exceedingly proud of the seafarers, I am semi-proud of our collective performance as a country. Because we rank about 5th.
Right.
About 5th, you are now having Nigeria somewhere sitting at the top. You have countries such like Sierra Leone, Morocco, Egypt that have all bypassed us.
In terms of the placement of seafarers?
In terms of numbers of seafarers generally. Yes, soldiers, we are seafarers generally. So as a country, we perhaps have still not done more than 5,000 seafarers. And that is why I said I'm very much proud of the seafarers, both ratings and officers, but not exceedingly proud of our collective performance. Yes. If you track back and you realize that we were one of the best and seafaring nations in Africa, having established the Nautical College somewhere around 1958 and ran the Black Star Line. And if you look at the sterling performance of Ghanaian seafarers, especially captains, both male and female, over the period, over the years, then you wouldn't be too much, you'll be too much proud of the seafarers, but you wouldn't be proud of how much we have performed. In other words, as a country, we ought to have increased our seafaring population than what we have now. So, tracking back, as a country, we are doing somewhere around 5,000 seafarers, and I think that is not something that is good enough. In my view, with the measures and what we are seeing, we probably will do we'll do something close to 500 seafarers this year, and in the years coming, we'll perhaps be doing about 1,000 and more, and pushing it. And this is particularly also because there is a global opportunity. There's a global opportunity. As we speak, currently there is close to about 27 to 30,000 seafarers that are needed just now. Right. And this number is supposed to increase by the close of the year to about 90,000. Wow. So that is...
as a demand?
That's a demand. Wow. That's a demand as we speak. So that is quite a lot. And if we look at dynamics such as the fact that no matter what it is, there are shrinking populations in other parts of the world, then it should tell us that the African youth that is growing big and busting and becoming very educated and sophisticated should be in the forefront. And within the African context, you cannot take Ghana away. We are very well-educated people. We are very smart people, and for that matter, we have a leg in there. Absolutely. So it is within this context that once we assumed office, we started looking very closely at seafaring, at both ratings and cadets, and trying to see how we increase the opportunities. But one thing that always stands the way between somebody who has trained as a cadet and or as a rating and getting an employment and being out there is what we call the sea time.
Right.
So here is it. The good thing about the maritime industry is that we have the opportunity to produce jobs for Ghanaians. And these jobs are not limited by boundary in terms of geographical location. They may be limited by barriers. So the barriers is what we want to overcome.
Right.
Because there are no boundaries, because the maritime industry is global, it is competitive. So we should be able, in principle, be able to say that, hey, we are having 100,000 Ghanaian seafarers outside there, which means that 100,000 Ghanaian youth or more are working outside there. This is what Bangladesh can say. This is what India can say. This is what Philippines would definitely say as the leading shipping nation, seafaring nation, and this is what you should be aiming at. But what stands the way is what I call birth, and this is particularly the case for cadets.
Right.
Cadets will need a much longer sea time in order to be able to qualify. For our lay people who can't understand, we are just talking about internship. We are talking about practical training. The cadet has spent about 4 years of education at the Regional Maritime University, now potentially at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And the cadet is like any other graduate who have spent his time in his education. The cadet is also somebody who has gone through an education just not like any other graduate, but in a regimented focus form, and ready and looking up to being the future captain of a ship. Millions of dollars platform at sea. Just like pilots are very proud to be what they are. Some will be deck officers, for them are deck cadets. Some will be engineer cadets, and increasingly now some will be electrotechnical cadets. So deck will normally be the captains, the engineers, very important, take control of the engineering, and ships are becoming very, very automated now, and for that matter, the electrical dimension is increasing. So these are the cadets. However, or whichever be the three classes of cadets, whether deck, engine, ETO, they will need sea time. They will need a practical experience. And this is something that is you can't compromise with. You can't compromise on that. And you are looking at a sea time of about 1 year minimum. This will prepare them, give them the competence, the practical experience for them to come back to regional maritime, Ghana Maritime Authority to sit for their requisite certification that will then make them a red cake or a hot cake, ready to be employed in the global market. So getting this sea time has been a problem. It has been a problem because ships and ship companies will have to calculate and come to a conclusion that, are we going to provide this sea time for cadets? A number of factors then dried up our sea placement opportunities, sea time placement opportunities. And taking office, we had to work to see how we reverse this. I would think that we have been a very good regulator as an organization, the organization that I proudly lead now, and I'm proud of that, of all the staff and everybody. But I don't think we have been excellent promoters and developers. So, and I think this is the cultural change that we are seeing now. That rather than regulate and just also leave it for the cadets and the seafarer placement recruitment agencies to handle it, we are now taking a step forward and we say we are here with you. We are searching for the opportunities alongside. Because the seafarer recruitment and placement agency will be sitting here in Ghana, or of course, even also making contacts, looking for opportunities to place cadets. But cadets are both an opportunity and a burden. You are taking somebody to be on board a limited space of a ship that is supposed to take 28 staff, and you want 1 or 2 people to be there
to do that job,
at that time are not executing to the job to the fullest. So it's a sacrifice. So when the seafarer placement agencies are pushing for this and not getting it, it is worth it to have the minister's encouragement, to have a board chair encouragement, and to have the DG contacting shipping agencies, establishing that rapport, knocking at their doors and opening the windows. So this is the change that we have brought in. significantly that we are no longer sitting down to regulate. We are taking a step forward to say that we care for these cadets. We want to make sure that they are out there.
Absolutely.
For that matter, the investment, the time, the ambition that they have will not go wasted. And for that matter, we are engaging the shipping companies. So we started doing that last year, as we've explained. And by the close of last year, we had a number of, a couple of placements for cadets. And this year, we've gone back to 8, and then we are having the placements coming in. It is not by any way going to be that easy. There's still a lot to do. We still have a backlog of cadets that are waiting for such opportunities. Only last year or this year, we had an intake of a huge number of cadets at the Regional Maritime University. Females alone were about 100, a significant global achievement. So all these are young people with ambition, and they are all in the queue that we have to now make sure that we keep on pushing and looking for opportunities for them.
Absolutely. So in terms of the placement, what were some of the significant obstacles that you encountered whilst you were trying to, establish the rapport with these global shipping giants and get a placement? What were some of the challenges that came up?
So some of the challenges, I will say, were just institutional. They were just institutional because we didn't meet a good culture already, an ecosystem that exists already in the authority that we could leverage on, where there's already a template of working with, and going around or going about with these shipping companies. So you have to build something from the scratch and then to work with. The second, although, of course, that doesn't mean that the authority doesn't know these shipping agencies. We know them, we have records of them. We've been working with them, especially at the technical and regulatory aspect, but not on the language of we are here with you to do business, and for that matter, we want you to promote. So that is the point I'm trying to emphasize. So and to leverage on. So the second thing is that, admittedly, we train very well our cadets, but we are very less on what we call the practical, at least the initial practical training. If you take some of the countries in Asia and other places, their training institutions or maritime administration would have a traineeship. So they would have had, in the course of their career, some practical training on board ships. This is not really what it is to make them fully prepared for employment, but they would have had that career. It's almost like when you are during your education, you take time off to be able to have internships. So they would have had a traineeship, and the traineeship would have given them some level of training already. So it means that that Asian cadet or that cadet from Philippines will have this edge over a Ghanaian cadet. The second thing is that we are a little bit down on simulators. So there are modern ships now. You can't train on every ship or have the experience of every ship. So technology has allowed for simulators and simulation for you to almost be in a virtual ship and to be trained. So this is one area. That also, and because of that, there is that, if you want, a slight dip also on the challenge side. So for the Ghanaian seafarer. And for the Ghanaian cadet. And I think, but that is beginning to change now in the Ghanaian context. So these are some of the things that, from the word go, will be, taxing the mind of a shipping placement agent, a shipping company. That should we choose the Ghanaian seafarer, there are positive. The positive thing is that when we engage the industry, and tell them what are the problems and what are the positives. They told us the problems, but they also told us the positive. They told us the positive that they believed in the intellectual training of a Ghanaian cadet, which is very good. Although we say that we are very academic and less practical, the academics has got an advantage because shipping is also becoming sophisticated. So you want to see somebody who is just not practical, but who is also intellectually grown to be able to manage the sophistication. The second positive is the discipline. Our cadetship is very good. Kudos to the Regional Maritime University, but also the Ghana Navy that supply, trainers and people to train the cadets. So the regimentality is there,
Yes.
and it makes our cadet discipline.
Yes.
So it means now we had to tell the industry that, look more at what we have. We believe that you can cure this.
Yes.
We believe that the Ghanaian cadets will come on board, not the same thing as his counterpart.
Right.
But we believe that in a month or two, they would have paired up. And for that time, or from that time, the Ghanaian cadet become an asset, much like his other competitor, or even a greater asset.
Right.
But also the assurance that we are there, that the Ghana Maritime Authority is there and not distant.
Yes.
Well, it's an investment they are making.
Right.
They are making an investment into the future. They are putting this cadet on board a ship to give the cadet an opportunity and looking for certain things. One, whenever this cadet is ready, will the Ghana Maritime Authority be readily available for communication, for them to bring the cadet back, or will we have another system, and I'll come to that for ratings, for example,
Right.
where we will quickly make sure that the cadet takes his COC and join his ship somewhere? Because if I'm investing in this as a shipping company, I will not want a situation where when I need a cadet back now to employ at either at level 3 or level 4,
Yes.
it is going to take another 2 or 3 months. And we are going to be faced with administrative bottlenecks. And we will have no way of speaking directly.
Yeah.
Hitherto, they would have been speaking to us through the seafarer replacement agencies.
Right.
Now they can use the dual channels. They can speak to us directly, but they can also speak to us through the agencies.
Sure.
And that is a big assurance for somebody who is investing on a future pilot,
Right.
a future captain, to be sure that when I put in my investment, I can have somebody to talk to make sure that my investments are guaranteed, and that captain is coming back, or that engineer is coming back, or that ETO officer is coming back to perform the tasks that they are supposed to perform.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking aloud whether there wouldn't be any issues of conflict of interest. For instance, the Ghana Maritime Authority is supposed to ensure that all vessels coming into the country, are in top shape, they are seaworthy and all that. Now, you have gone to seek favors from these giants, and they are carrying your people. And so, won't it be a case that maybe you detect or find something wrong with one of them and say, let's overlook because they are helping us? Won't such situations arise?
Scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Exactly.
No, not really. Not really. Our regulatory systems remain very robust, and these are very international standards.
Right.
That we will continue to enforce them. And we enforce them at the highest level of international standards. You would have seen that last year, by the end of last year, we were adjudged as the best throughout the whole of the West African sub-region in terms of the quality of our inspections.
Wow.
Not the quantity, but
Wow.
quality.
Yeah.
And we won that from the Abuja MOU.
Congratulations,
so
absolutely.
Yes, which is something credible.
That's
which
huge.
I give it to the post-state control officers that we have working in Tema and Takoradi and able to give us this success. So we'll continue. But also for us to even say, as a matter of fact, that it is even perhaps the case that some of these ships may never even come to a Ghanaian port.
Right.
Yes, so it is not that they will naturally come to a good number may never even come to Ghanaian port
ports.
or may come once in a while.
Yes.
Because we are looking at a global market.
Yes.
There are Ghanaian seafarers who perhaps would have had their career for 5 years without ever calling on a Ghanaian port. So, and for that matter, that their ship may never come to a Ghanaian port.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's really not going to be a conflict of interest.
Right. Okay, Kuwait Oil Tanker Company. Tell us, how significant is this partnership with this particular company? It's a big one.
Yes. Yeah, this partnership is very, very good. Is very significant. We all know what Kuwait is when it comes to oil trade.
Exactly.
And for that matter, they have a fleet of ships across the world.
Yes.
And these are huge fleet also in terms of their size, in terms of their capacity.
Yes.
But also fleet that are very modern and significantly increasing.
Yes.
Yeah, so to have broached that kind of relationship with them is very significant. We did that with a Saudi one earlier in December, which is also very, 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 very significant. It is almost like looking for an employee, and once you are able to find that this is of quality, because you see, one single Ghanaian cadet represents the future of all the cadets and the industry.
Sure.
Well, you are looking for somebody to employ of a certain quality. So once you are able to place them and you are able to get that quality from them, you will always go back because you need them anyway.
Sure.
So they will provide that future opportunities, and that's why it's significant. For a shipping company, that is not like a one ship or two ship, but multi-fleet, to have that opportunity of placing trade. We shouldn't be looking at the number 3.
Yes.
We should be looking at the fact that this can come in multiples.
Absolutely.
Because once this 3 have been able to show their mark, they will always say that, okay, we're looking back and coming back to the Ghanaian cadets or cadets of the Regional Maritime University, and we'll give them more sea time.
All right, so let me find out from you, will the cadets, particularly the latest 3, would they be on the vessel only for training purposes, only for gaining the practical experience, or they'll be earning something alongside, understudying in the vessels?
Okay, you have actually hit on a very important subject, and which is one of the leverages that some countries have also used.
Right.
And as part of our future seafarer development program, all these are coming. So let me say that what we are talking about now and the milestones we are making are more like experimenting or implementing the Seafarer Development Program.
Right.
But the program itself is being fit together.
Right.
And sometime by the middle of the next year, hopefully, His Excellency the President will have the opportunity of launching that. But we are almost like testing and funneling out and using the plan or the strategy already and getting success and then fine-tuning it so that by the time it is launched by His Excellency the President, we will have it in a full-proof form.
Right.
But you hit on a point because that is one of the things that whilst they are on board, they are paid stipend.
Yes.
They are paid stipend.
Okay.
Yes, so stipend, it depends on the ship. Some could be $500 a month, some could be $1,000 a month, or in between that. So this is what is paid stipend.
Right.
So it is also possible that in future, depending on how we see our seafarer development plan going, that the Ghana Maritime Authority may, with the board approval and other policy approvals, be looking at how we support this aspect.
Right.
Because we care for the Ghanaian seafarer. Because let's look at it practically. For a year of $500, that could just be about $6,000.
Yes.
When that Ghanaian seafarer goes through and gets a job, his starting salary may be about $4,000.
Yeah.
So, and he's going to have it for the rest of his career.
Yeah, sure.
It could even be something that he may pay back in his first 2-3 salaries, or in a couple of salaries he will pay back. Yeah. So we would actually be looking for a number of ingenious ways of doing that. But the question is answered that normally they are paid stipend, and the stipend is also part of what may make a decision to a shipping company as to whether, although not too significant, I believe that the quality they are looking out for is more of the driving factor.
Right.
The stipend is less significant.
Absolutely.
So viewers, you just watched an excerpt of our discussion with the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, who is a retired Navy captain as well. Remember, this you watched is an abridged version of the entire live discussion, which you can find if you go to our YouTube and type in I on Port. It is now time to hear a few of your comments that you shared during the live discussion. After, we'll go on break and then return with more news. Stay tuned.
Engineer Nati says, "Hello, Iron Ports. Thank you for the insightful and educational discussion. I would like to ask a question regarding the training vessel that is being discussed. Is there a possibility for the Regional Maritime University and the Ghana Maritime Authority to collaborate in acquiring a training vessel?"
Having a training vessel for the Regional Maritime University is the ultimate. It helps, especially what I explained, that some cadets would have come from training institutions where already they have a regional, where they have a training vessel, and they would have had some experience. Of course, as he will also know, it takes quite a lot of resources to own one. So it is something that has been as part of the plan There was supposed to be a Korean facility some time ago,
yes,
under which the regional maritime University and the government of Ghana was supposed to acquire that. The Minister of Transport has since been restaging the whole issue, and I believe that it is something that it is top on his agenda to discuss with his counterpart at the Minister of Finance, because
right,
this is a grant.
Yeah.
It is not something that is for free. It's a
Right,
grant, and for that matter, it is something that at the ministerial level,
yes,
they will have to discuss it and to see how we can make that
Well,
possible.
right.
Yeah.
Philip says, hello Iron Ports. Please ask Dr. Kamaldeen Ali about the recent piracy issue at Sinyabriku, the status, and what is being done about the upgrade of our surveillance systems.
It looks to me more like an opportunistic attack, where perhaps they were looking for a certain vessel somewhere, which will be the primary attack, target.
Yes.
And perhaps they missed that, and they look for the low-hanging fruit, or the most vulnerable, and these were the fishermen, which is very worrying.
Yes.
We have what we call the vessel traffic monitoring system, which is able to help us monitor to some extent our maritime space. And the current one that we have was commissioned by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama in 2014, thereabout. And luckily, by the time I came into the office,
yes,
my predecessors have ordered a new one.
Okay.
We've since been running and taking all the steps,
Right,
to make sure that we roll out the new vessel traffic monitoring system.
yes,
It is something that is being highly discussed now,
Right,
to see how we are able to do that. It is a much more better technology, at
Right,
least what I saw on paper and what it is supposed to be. Gives us better view, which we
yes,
call over the horizon radar,
Right,
and technology, so that we can see further of about 150 to 200 nautical miles.
yeah,
It also comes with cameras that allow us to be able to see within certain areas of our immediate coast.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena.
You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately.
There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serene Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. FIBA is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
Another busy week for us in the port and maritime industry of Ghana. Let's have a look at some of the events that transpired. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders is urging government to undertake an evidence-based review of recent transit enforcement measures following the Akano-Dawenya Tema incident, warning that disproportionate responses could threaten Ghana's position as a preferred transit hub for Sahelian countries. In a press conference on Wednesday, February 25, GIFF clarified that all 18 trucks linked to the incident remained electronically visible on the official tracking system. The 6 trucks initially reported missing were later traced and physically verified. The Institute explained that route deviation alerts were triggered only after enforcement officers redirected the trucks to the Tema Transit Yard, which lies outside the declared corridor, an indication that the electronic monitoring system functioned as designed.
So when customs gives you the chance to do the transit, they will tell you which route to use. So it will tell you maybe from Akano, you come straight on the Flower Road through Dawenya, use the motorway. You cannot go any other route apart from that. And so from the tracking that was done, we realized that the only time there was a certain diversion was when at Dawenya these things had been, like, if I don't want to use this, seized or brought to the Tema transit yard, and so then you would detect a certain diversion.
GIFF expressed concern over the formation of public narratives without prior stakeholder consultation, stressing the need for engagement to ensure accurate information and maintain industry confidence. The Institute noted that nearly half of cargo moving through Tema Port is destined for land-linked Sahelian countries, generating significant revenue through port charges, handling fees, and logistics services.
So the falsehood that is spread out there, they should stop it. This particular transaction is a legitimate transaction. The public should know. Ghana should know. We are afraid for it. Definitely, we have some bad notes. We cannot admit that we don't have bad notes. But if the bad notes are apprehended, they should deal with them. So that the general people who do the legitimate, there should be free trade, free flow.
While affirming that the tracking system worked effectively, GIFF acknowledged areas requiring reform, including escort policy consistency, transit bond adequacy, route dwell monitoring, and post-clearance reconciliation. The Institute is proposing targeted, intelligence-driven controls instead of broad restrictions, warning that hardened measures could divert cargo, reduce port utilization, and trigger reciprocal actions from neighboring transit corridors.
GIFF respectfully draws attention to a forward-looking diplomatic risk. In the West African transit ecosystem, corridor policies often attract reciprocal treatment. Should Ghana be perceived as tightening transit access in a broader manner, neighboring jurisdictions may 1. Introduce mirror administrative frictions. 2. Recalibrate corridor preferences away from Ghana. And then 3. Adjust bilateral transit cooperation dynamics.
GIFF has called on the Minister for Finance to commission an independent technical review of the incident, engage stakeholders, and reaffirm Ghana's commitment to secure and facilitate transit trade.
The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has witnessed a change in leadership as Brigadier General Glover Ashong Anan officially handed over authority to the new acting commissioner, Aaron Kanor. The ceremonial handover, held at the forecourt of the Customs headquarters in Accra, featured a rich display of military precision. In his remarks, Brigadier General Anan expressed gratitude to President Mahama and the Minister of Finance, Dr. Kaseo Atuforsen, for entrusting him with the leadership of the division. He highlighted the division's performance despite a difficult fiscal climate, announcing revenue mobilization of approximately 51.4 billion Ghana cedi in the previous year, a 14% growth.
This ambitious goal underscores the indispensable role customs plays in Ghana's fiscal stability and national transformation. I have no doubt that with your characteristics, resilience, and determination, you will not only meet but exceed the target.
In his acceptance speech, Aaron Kanor pledged to lead with professionalism, ethics, and innovation. He extended appreciation to Brigadier General Anan, applauding his leadership and the achievements attained under his tenure. Aaron Kanor emphasized a leadership approach grounded in professionalism, innovation, and teamwork.
As I assume this new role, I recognize the immense responsibility that comes with leading an institution that plays a preeminent role in our country's economic development, security, and international trade. My staff and I will therefore provide a renewed spirit and direction to this great entity by ensuring that the tasks for which we have been employed are well executed.
He further promised to leverage technology to enhance operational efficiency, strengthen risk management systems, and foster collaboration with border communities as well as regional and international partners. Commissioner General of GRA, Anthony Kwesi Sarpong, cautioned officers against unethical conduct, stressing that corruption does not happen by mistake.
The goal of the division and the authority is our professional inheritance. This has been bequeathed to us from our forebears, and it is worth every effort to take and to reclaim it. So we would like to congratulate you on this occasion and to commit that as management of GRA together, we will work to ensure that we fulfill our mandate of raising revenue, which is the blood for developing the nation.
He reaffirmed the authority's commitments to cooperating fully with investigations and stated that officers implicated in unethical acts would not receive institutional protection.
The Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, ACHAG, has held its 5th annual general meeting to deliberate on the role of customs house agents under the 24-hour economic policy of government. The event brought together members of ACHAG across the country, key players in Ghana's trade and logistics industry, as well as the presidential advisor on the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development, Honorable Gusitano. Addressing the gathering, the president of ACHAG, Akwesi Boateng, said the 24-hour economy demands that customs house agents invest in staffing, adopt shift systems, and build firms capable of delivering professional service excellence at any hour. He decried the unlicensed practices of customs agency, which he described as posing a serious threat to the profession.
The 24-hour economy also demands that we evolve as businesses. We must invest in staffing, adopt shift system, and build firms capable of delivering professional services excellent at any hour. The days of the single operator, office hours only practice must give way to structured, resilient enterprise. We must also be honest about our challenges. The unlicensed practice of customs agencies remains a serious threat to our profession and to the national revenue and to all suspecting importers. We will continue to work with customs division and all relevant authorities to ensure that that practice is firmly curtailed.
There were solidarity messages from the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Shippers Authority, Food and Drugs Authority, and the Ghana Standards Authority on the impact of the 24-hour operations in the port and shipping industry.
We have seen significant progress through the expansion works in both Tema and Takoradi ports, from MPSML 3 and the strategic dredging of the port of Tema, to the recognition of Tema as a primary port of call for major Far East and West African services, among others, alongside the continued development of the Takoradi port as a premier hub for oil and gas logistics. This demonstrates that Ghana is actively investing in the physical and operational capacity required for 24-hour trade.
Under a 24-hour economic framework, your role evolves beyond routine documentation and cargo clearance to one that demands continuous compliance, real-time responsiveness, and round-the-clock operational readiness. Ladies and gentlemen, digital trade facilitation is the backbone of a functional 24-hour economy.
As Ghana embraces the 24-hour economy, enhanced collaboration based on trust, transparency, mutual respect will be essential to optimize processes, leverage technology. Together with ACHAG, we can foster a trade environment that is efficient, secure, and beneficial to all partners in the supply chain.
In a 24-hour economy, standards become even more critical. When trade operates around the clock, compliance must also operate around the clock. The integrity of weighing devices, the conformity of imported goods, the safety of food and industrial products, and the authenticity of certification marks must all be assured without delay.
Presidential Advisor on the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development, Gusitano, issued a strong warning against individuals and groups he described as economic saboteurs who abuse Ghana customs transit, bonded warehouse and auction regimes for personal gain.
Modern port and customs systems must function as enablers of trade rather than as points of friction. Full digital trade facilitation, disciplined use of ICAMs and the Ghana single window, risk-based inspection regimes, and reduced physical interfaces are essential to achieving the 24-hour capability with regard to logistics and trade facilitation.
He charged the leadership of the Customs House Agents Ghana to demonstrate courage and professional discipline by sanctioning or expelling members found culpable of engaging in fraudulent practices. The Deputy Commissioner and Head of Suspense Regime at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Nana Birago Owusu-Ansah, who represented the Acting Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, commended Customs House agents for their role in the 24-hour economy and urged them to exhibit integrity in all their dealings.
So first of all, I just want to reaffirm that all of us here do appreciate the work that the Customs House agents do. Customs cannot do it on their own. No one institution can do it on their own. And so you are highly commended and we do appreciate you a lot. However, your work is based on trust.
Let's now head out to the global maritime space and hear what is happening there too. The United States Treasury has sanctioned 12 additional vessels linked to Iran's shadow fleet, targeting ships used to transport petroleum and petrochemical products that fund Tehran's oil trade weapons programs. The measures also target networks supporting Iran's ballistic missile and drone production, including companies supplying critical materials and financing. Washington says the sanctions aim to disrupt illicit oil exports that generate hundreds of millions of dollars for the Iranian regime. The latest action forms part of a broader pressure campaign to curb Iran's energy revenues and limit its military capabilities. UAE-based terminal operator AD Ports Group and NYMEX Terminals have broken ground on the UAE's first private sector LPG terminal hub at Khalifa Port, strengthening the port's role in the regional energy supply chain. Phase 1 will include refrigerated storage tanks for propane and butane, LPG bullet tanks, and dedicated jetties capable of handling large gas carriers. The facility, expected to be commissioned within 36 months, will provide large-scale storage and marine handling infrastructure for LPG products, with expansion planned in a second phase. The project enhances Khalifa Port's multimodal connectivity and supports Abu Dhabi's strategy to expand its energy and logistics ecosystem. It is now time for our Word of the Day segment, which introduces you to words, phrases, jargons, and terminologies that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. Break ground. In maritime and port development context, to break ground is to formally begin construction on a maritime infrastructure project, such as a port, terminal, jetty, or canal, often marked by a ceremonial event signifying the transition from planning to the construction phase. When authorities break ground, it means the project has moved from approvals and design into actual construction, signaling investment, job creation, and future capacity growth. The health and safety tip of the week is next.
Burn kits. A burn kit is a specialized first aid kit designed to treat burn injuries. It typically includes items for managing both mild and severe burns caused by heat, chemicals, electricity, or radiation. The essential components often found in a burn kit include burn dressing, burn ointment, and other tools to provide immediate care and minimize damage. These kits are typically important in environments with high risk of burns, such as construction sites or kitchens.
It is now time to have a look at the schedule of vessels that have berthed in the ports of Tema, like the ones lined up behind me, those in Takrade. Those are the anchorages of both ports, as well as those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. Now, this is where we end this week's episode of Eye on Port, and as usual, we hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Eye on Port content can be found on our YouTube channel, Eye on Port. Subscribe, like, and then share our videos. Thank you for watching.